أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Brief Biography of Imam al-Bukhari. Birth: Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Bukhari al-Jafi was born after the Jummah's prayer on Friday, 19 July 810, 13 Shawwal 194, in the city of Bukhara, in the present-day Uzbekistan. Early years, Imam Bukhari became blind at a young age. He had recourse to many famous and skilled doctors of his time, but their treatment made no difference. His mother was a pious worshipper and righteous woman. She cried out for help in the court of Allah for her child and begged for the restoration of his eyesight. At last, the river of mercy flowed over her, and Almighty Allah accepted her invocation. One night, she visited Ibrahim alayhi salam in a dream and was told, Allah has restored the sight of your son because of your intense and beautiful invocations. In the morning, as Imam Bukhari got up from his bed, glimmers of light reached out into his eyes. Studying with the scholars in and around his hometown, al-Bukhari immersed himself in hadith studying as well as fiqh, Islamic jurisprudence. He was capable of remembering long and complex chains of narrations of hadith. For a hadith to be considered authentic, a reliable chain of narrators connect that of saying to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In this, al-Bukhari excelled. By his late teens, al-Bukhari had completed his studies in Bukhara and set out to Mecca to do Hajj with his mother and brother. He stayed in Mecca and Medina for several years, where he continued to collect hadiths from some of the leading hadith scholars of the world, memorizing the text of the hadith, the chain of narrators, and advancing his understanding of the reliability of those narrators. He traveled through Egypt, Syria, and Iraq to continue his studies throughout his adult life. Finally setting in Basra, Hazrat Imam Bukhari's memory was considered to be inhuman, for as soon as the praying of a hadith would finish, Imam Bukhari would repeat it orally. It has been known that in his childhood he had memorized 2,000 ahadith. There is one spectacular incident which took place in Baghdad when Imam Bukhari radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu took up temporary residence there. The people, having heard of his many accomplishments and attributes which were issued to him, decided to test him so as to make him prove himself to them. In order to do that, they choose 100 different ahadiths, and changing the testimonial and the text of ahadiths, they were then recited by 10 people to Imam Bukhari. There was a crowd of gathered people from within and outside the city to witness the outcome of such a test. When the hadiths were recited, Imam Bukhari radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu replied to all in one manner, not to my knowledge. However, after the completion of all the hadith, Imam Bukhari radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu repeated each text and testimonial which had been changed, followed by the correct text and testimonial. Such was the memory of Imam Bukhari radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Mission of life. One night, al-Bukhari had a strange dream that later had a great impact on his life. He saw himself standing before the Prophet holding a palm leaf fan in the hand with which he pushed all evil away from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was so confused and surprised that he went to his scholars asking them to interpret his dream. They said happily, "You will clear the lies and false claims away from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam." Al-Bukhari then remembered his teacher, Sheikh Ishaq ibn Rahawi, the prominent scholar of Khorasan, when he told his students once, "It would be great if you can compile a concise and brief book containing the authentic narrations of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam." These words echoed in al-Bukhari's heart, and he remembered that dream which was always in his mind since he started learning the prophetic narrations. Thereupon he immediately made an intention to actively and seriously pursue his mission and started to strive in his long journey of writing this great book in 217 AH. When he was 23, because of the dream, Al-Bukhari traveled thousands of miles, moving from one Islamic territory to another, undergoing all sort of difficulties, hardships and weariness, sometimes to obtain only one narration of Prophet. Sometimes he even had to eat grass to satisfy his extreme hunger after he had spent all his money. Even the few hours of night in which he snatched short naps to rest a while were not so resting for him, as he used to wake up 15 to 20 times a night to lit his lamp and sit to classify the narrations he had collected. And Bukhari made a pact with himself that he wouldn't include a narration from any narrator until he had personally met him and listened to the narration with his own ears. He never accepted narrations except from the ones who were known for being honest, diligent, accurate, fearing Allah, and having a sharp memory. After this process, he would have a ritual part, pray 2 rakas, and then include only the narrations that had met all these conditions in his book. After 16 years of continuous effort and hard work, Al-Bukhari finished his valuable book comprised around 7,000 authentic narrations, which he selected 6 lakh authentic and non-authentic narrations. He overlooked many authentic narrations so that his book wouldn't be too long. He chose the name of the book, the Authentic Book, encompassing a brief authentic narrations to the Prophet, his tradition and life, to become the title of the most authentic book after the Quran. The book is known as Sahih al-Bukhari. This book became well known and it gave him a high rank that someone like him truly deserved to achieve. He had a vast knowledge, great manners, a tolerant nature, dignity, and an untainted tongue. After Imam al-Bukhari became famous throughout the world, thousands of scholars came to him as students of the leader in memorization of authentic narrations until the number of people who attended his study circles in Baghdad reached 20,000. Among the most remarkable figures of his students were imams at Tirmidhi and Muslim and others. Last year, his death was on a Friday night, the beginning of the month of Shawwal, 256 after Hijri, 870 after death of Christ, 870 AD. He was 62 years old when he died. He was buried in the village of Khartank, which is now known as Fajasai. May Allah have mercy upon the great Imam and may Allah admit him into paradise.
Sadaqallahul Azim.